this is part 4 of my Crash 4 Purple Relic video. If you haven't seen the previous parts, I suggest you watch those first. Nitro processing. We have finally reached our top 10 greatest levels in Crash 4. These levels go even further with the enjoyment of getting these shiny purple relics. I would even call some of them masterpieces. And the first one in the top 10, Nitro Processing. A fantastic level that is notable for one thing, its difficulty. And holy shit, is it hard. It's essentially the endurance test to see how long you can run through this level without taking a single hit. And I'll get to why soon enough. But this level features a lot of bottomless pits, quick reaction based movements, and difficult enemies to face off, like these fireflies that are bursting electricity, these glowing goobers, and those rats with the spiky shields. This level is also home to really difficult level design, like the very beginning requiring some precise movement to these waterfalls, which is easy to fuck up, these rats near the spinning gears, which requires quick decision making, and that long hallway which contains even more enemies and bottomless pits. I find its difficulty to be very appropriate since it's the third final level in the game. But despite its brutal difficulty, I still find it very enjoyable regardless, thanks to its plenty of opportunities to perform some fun movements throughout. In addition to that, Nitro Processing also features two Quantum Masks, Ika Ika and Kapuna Wa. Hey, wait a minute, who the hell is Ika Ika? Well, he's the last Quantum Mask you'll be introduced in the game, of course. His main gimmick revolves around flipping gravity on the fly, allowing you to walk on the ceiling and do some upside down platforming. Keep in mind that you can only flip gravities up to 2 times before it stops working and you fall to your death, or fly to your death. Think of all this as similar to the switching gravity mechanic in Sonic Adventure 2's Crazy Gadget, except it doesn't control like ass. Now that we got the explanation out of the way, it's funny how I'm introducing him right now, as all the levels that has Ika Ika on it are pretty awesome, and Nitro Processing is no exception, as you use them to pass through tight spaces while also navigating through these rotating gears, with this part allowing you to get some serious air times. As for Kapuna Wa, you mainly use her to not only slow down these fast moving gears, but also the water stream. However, it gets interesting when you realize it's not always ideal to use her, as either going down the water stream or through certain gears can actually slow you down. What? Now I know it sounds bad, but hear me out. It actually makes all the more interesting, as you'll need to strategize when to not go slow motion in order to speed things up. Smart utilization of her can get you the most optimal times, which is really fucking cool in my opinion. But all this mask talk reminds me that this level also includes triple mask potential, which, yeah, it's pretty much mandatory. It makes the gauntlet portion way easier, and going through these spikes and enemies at the end is safer as well, allowing waterfalls to be used for a great burst of speed. But let me tell you something. Saving these masks is gosh dang hard, which brings me to one of my biggest gripe with this level, which is that some parts of the level can be pure bullshit and makes saving up these masks a total nightmare. There are plenty of inconsistencies with not only the cycles you'll be facing, but with the enemies' hitboxes as well, like those rats with the shields. I swear to God, I'm not touching this shit at all, yet it still hits me? It also makes some of the minor annoyances even more egregious because of how often they take away your mask, like these guys, the obstacles with spikes and shit, and those goddamn flame box. Oh my god. You'll essentially need to be near flawless with all this until halfway through the stage for even getting a chance for a triple mask. And I know I've been praising this level for being difficult, but this is just too much, man. But regardless of all this bullshit, I still enjoyed this level a lot. I mean, it's in the top 10 for a reason, as its brutal difficulty really tests your skills on getting that shiny purple relic, along with having great level design, which requires some quick reflexes and your use of technical movements. And how can I forget its excellent use of the quantum mask? This level is seriously no joke, but I'm all for that kind of difficulty. Just don't force me to be flawless next time, please. Dino Dash. Man, it seems like whenever I start up this level, I'm always surprised on how good it ends up being. I would always assume beforehand that Dino Dash has a whatever chase sequence, and that's pretty much it. But no, open that bad boy up, and it's excellent. Just talking about the beginning alone requires so much thought process that I might have to explain step by step on why it's so fucking good. First, you use swift movement to triple spin up to these logs and slide spin towards various gaps. Then, you drift side to side as you avoid these acid bits coming from that Venus fly trap. And after climbing to these dinosaur heads, you precisely attack this fly trap at such an angle that it flings toward the 3-second time box at the top. Then, you dance around to this last fly trap, so you can carefully collect that time crane that's on top of the TNT. And lastly, you swerve left and right a few more times as you collect more time boxes while using Lanny Lolly. Also, you just copy. You see what I mean? All this crazy shit in just the beginning. That's how fucking good Dino Dash is by that alone. But the rest of the level afterwards is no sleepover either. For example, the grind rail section. Similar to Stay Frosty, Dino Dash also spices things up by including Quantum Mask into the mix, which in this case is using Lanny Lolly to collect time boxes and clear obstacles.
Mushroom!
And look, it's not the most groundbreaking thing on earth, but it does keep you busy enough to not feel boring. Plus, it's pretty short at least. I also enjoy some of the traditional platforming sections that it offers as well, like the swamp section, which consists of bouncing on crates and whatnot, or the more enjoyable one, the lava section, where you'll be doing plenty of precise slide jumps, which are satisfying as hell. But now we get to those chase sequences. So, I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion or not, but I actually don't mind these sections at all. I enjoy the fact that you don't know what's coming ahead, and have to memorize the precise location of all the gaps, TNTs, or enemies. I find it's great for keeping you engaged, while also not sacrificing your speedrunning potential. And these sections get even easier once you have the triple mask, as you don't have to worry about the obstacles at all. Pretty ingenious, I say. So the one thing I'd like to note is that when comparing between Dino Dash and Rock Block, damn, remember that level? I find that Dino Dash is much better, as the box placement are nowhere near as awkward as in Rock Block, with such examples like the swamp section. Okay, I'll admit, I'm only bringing this up because I want to remind myself that Rock Block is still terrible. But now comparing the two made me realize that's even worse than I remember. I'm so glad my opinions haven't changed at all. Back in the dumpster you go! But what it really comes down to as a whole is that besides the second grind rail being kinda meh, everything about Dino Dash is pure gold. The level design is pretty dense, as there are so many things going on in such a short notice, making some sections like the beginning or the lava section to flow really amazingly. This level really knows how to keep you engaged, and I highly recommend you check this level out. Crash Landed. What a beauty, both in regard to its gameplay and the visuals. I mean, look at it. Look how pretty this looks. Alright, I won't go too much into its presentation this time, as I already did enough of that with Offbeat, so let's just wrap up with this quickly. Crash Landed's vibrant visuals makes running to this level really enjoyable, and does somewhat affect the ranking that I place in it a little, even though I don't normally put graphics into consideration. However, the difference between this level and Offbeat is that the gameplay it offers is so much better. So let's talk about it.
Let's just jump.
The biggest highlight for Crash Landed is the slippery pink goo. It's basically the same as sliding to ice in Stay Frosty, so going to these sections is just as exhilarating as the ice levels. But what makes them better is that some of the areas are pretty open, so you're free to slip and slide however you like. Another enjoyable aspect are the Ika sections. I find these parts to be both hectic and a blast to run through, especially when running to these boxes. Oh man. Crash Landed is also one of the few levels that does what I like to call triple mask chaining. What I mean by that is that once you attain your third mask and blast your way through the stage, there's another Aku Aku box waiting for you as the duration finishes, allowing you to extend your vulnerability immediately. This shit is so fucking cool, and it's a shame that very few levels even do something similar like that. Although, the only quirk about it is how picking up the mask while you're invincible will not reset the invulnerability times. It'll simply get ignored and pop in somewhere in the back rooms or something. It sucks that it doesn't extend the timer, but it is what it is. The last thing I'd like to talk about are the Schnurgle sections. Schnurgles? Is that what you call them? This cute little bugger is your vehicle section for the level, and I find it to be the best one in the game, for the most part. The mechanics and controls are similar to Polar, but the level design is a bit more complex due to having multiple routes and bottomless pits, making them trickier yet enjoyable at the same time. And with the combination of strategic movement and the use of time-saving tricks, occasionally seeing myself end this section with a new personal best, it's really something, man. But unfortunately, while the Schnurgle may be an adorable and exciting ride, he's not perfect. What? The physics can sometimes be a bit wonky, which can mess up with your movements a lot. And while his first appearance is great, the second appearance leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, the first half is fine, but when it starts introducing moving platforms, then it becomes a problem. As similar to Potion Commotion, when you get to section too quickly, the platforms can sometimes be out of your reach, which ends up sending you into the gutter. But besides these minor gripes, Crash Landed is still a fantastic stage, with great level design, great visuals, and enough fun mechanics to place it really high into my ranking. Food Run. We have now crash landed into this level, located in the snack dimension. The same dimension, mind you, which has 2 stinker levels. So to see something like this is really jarring, and it's fucking amazing. And it's all because of its gimmick, which sees you using all 4 quantum masks in the single level. Yeah, they all make their appearance, and are greatly used in each of their sections, for the most part. So let's go through each one of them in order, shall we? Kapunawa, the first, but also the best mask in the level, as you use her to slow down these fast moving cars, while also making satisfying slide spins between each one. And I'll admit, this part can be quite tricky to do, especially without jumping, but man is it satisfying. Before I move on, I would like to give a shout out to the beginning, which has these rows of platform testing your slide spin ability. Also, shout out to the part with all the TNTs that are annoying to dodge. This part sucks. Ika. His section is pretty fun. You'll be shifting gravities to navigate through these series of buildings, all the while avoiding these TNT robots, which you might as well forget about them, as they rarely hit you. I also like how you can practically skip over these swinging ropes if you're skilled enough. This can save a bit of time, which is always good. The only issue I have with this part are the gaps, which I swear I always land on, every time. It screws me over more than it should. After going to some of the moving vehicles with wall running, you then meet Akano. So this part, I mean, it's Akano, goddammit. He's great. There's plenty of opportunities to do triple Akano tricks, which can use huge amount of speed. The only thing worth noting is how this is where you'll start to see your triple mask run if you have them far enough, which it's not that mandatory, but it's less worry about getting killed by these TNT robots. After that, we have Ika. Wait, Ika again? Huh. Well, I guess he gets all the spotlight in the level, huh? Anyways, this part might be a bit tricky for some people, as the wall running can be finicky, especially when upside down. But the best trick I found is to forget wall running entirely and focus on reaching from one set of boxes to another using Ika Ika. You'll have just enough distance to reach through each one of them. Trust me. And lastly, we have Lanny Lolly. Unfortunately, I find Lanny Lolly to be the least interesting mask in Food Run, as you're just passing through some of the phase-shifted walls. That might surprise you a bit by having to shift certain platforms, nitro boxes, and the obstacles found in the traffic section, but it's nothing to really write home about compared to the rest of the Quantum Mask. And that's Food Run. God, what a great level. The fact that you're utilizing all 4 Quantum Masks is such an ingenious idea, and really shows how far these masks evolved, in addition to how you, as a player, use each one of them. It's such an amazing level to speedrun that I wouldn't be surprised if this is considered many people's favorite. Stowing away. This may be a shocker for some that I even placed it very high. I mean, why, you may ask? This whole level is claustrophobic as hell. For Christ's sake, I could be having a scenario of oops, all hallway design using this level if I wanted to. And I get it, I too would have hated to play a very linear level if I was playing a timeline level, but in a Crash or Coco level? Nah, this shit slaps.
Certified Bandicoot Classic.
What makes Stowing Away's tight and narrow level design work so well for speedrunning is that it all comes down to being quick and swift with your movements, rather than simply finding shortcuts. This style of gameplay can lead to this level flowing consistently well, especially in sections with these moving blocks and whatnot. I love running through this level each and every time. But you know what's the best part about Stowing Away? Is that it also includes 2 Quantum Masks, first being Ika Ika. He's great, no surprise there. Changing gravity to go through these tight vents is pretty fun. It makes me feel like I'm a spy infiltrating space. This section really adds to the overall swift movement to the level. But the biggest highlight would have to be the block maze. Basically, every switch you activate moves the blocks around, changing the level design completely. No. This means that in order to get good relic times, you'll need to memorize the entire layout for every switch you make, changing gravities preemptively as you essentially go around in circles and into the middle. In a time trial settings, this is very unique. Throughout the stage, you will also come across Akano as your second mask, and he's pretty good, don't get me wrong, but I feel that pulling up the triple Akano trick is a bit finicky due to the cramped nature of the level, but he's still not bad. So all this talk about narrow level design means that it's perfect, right? Well, not quite. The only issue I have with this level is that it can be quite restrictive in the experimental department, leading to the level feeling a bit samey in my opinion. But that doesn't really matter anyways, because at the end of the day, I still fucking love this stage. Stowing Away is not about finding shortcuts to get the fastest time, but rather is to test how quick you are with your movements. And I might talk shit to stages like Hook, Line, Sinkers or Home Cooking for that linearity, but it's mainly because these characters don't have such crazy movements like Crash does, which really does enhance the enjoyment of doing time trials. And this is mainly why I'm ranking this level really freaking high. Out for lunch. Okay, I'll admit, I might have some bit of bias towards space levels. I mean, seriously, I cannot stand to hate them. And as for this stage, yeah, you bet your ass I would adore it. But it's not just because of its theme. And trust me, I wish I can, but it's actually due to the gameplay being quite tremendous. And right off the bat, the one major praise I'll have to give is having a great beginning and a great end. They both involve these very long hallways, but what each of them offer are great in their own ways. For the beginning, you use Ika Ika to switch between ground and ceiling to walk on, collecting time boxes and avoid obstacles. Going to it each time is, quite honestly, the most fun I've ever had in a Crash stage. And as for the ending, while it doesn't involve Ika Ika, it still has something which I find pretty interesting in my opinion, which is that if you manage to prepare some Aku Aku masks before this section, you are rewarded with some constant, uninterrupted slide spin toward victory. with enemies and obstacles never standing a chance against you. Both of these parts are seriously great, but it doesn't mean that everything in between is not amazing, because it is. Like, going back to Ika Ika again, the way this level integrates his gimmick works so well, by swifting through the level and flipping gravities like a badass. Again, this shit never gets old. But even without him, the level is still great, by generally having some great flow and some fun movements. This level also includes some rail grinding, which is not that bad. Yeah, there may be plenty of them, but not only are they pretty brief, but are also busy with nitro boxes to dodge and time boxes to collect. This stage has, no joke, the best usage for rail grinding I've ever seen in my opinion. They're all pretty short, but sweet. Something I wish more stages would inspire from, or make them better in general. That would also be great. So for the issues I do have for Out of Lunch, honestly, they're basically so minor that it's not worth bringing up. But I'll do so anyway. There's this part in the beginning, which has this gas moxie guard near that nitro box, and hitting him without exploiting that nitro box can be a complete guesswork. Either he does hit it and you take damage, or he doesn't at all. It's complete random.
What the fuck is this shit?
There are also some occasional moments of you having to wait, like the numerous elevators or the timeline transitions. These moments do somewhat slow down the pacing in an otherwise amazing level. And amazing it is. Oh my god. Out for Lunch is one of my personal favorite levels in this game, and something which I always look forward to, from its great usage of Ika Ika to its amazing and fun level design that also includes the best implementation of rail grinding I've ever seen. Overall, I freaking adore this level, and it's not just because of its theme. Kinda, maybe, okay, it's a bit of that, but the gameplay's still freaking good. No Way Out. This level is pure insanity. I'm telling you, it contains the most constant, high-octane runs you'll ever experience, and I love it! One thing that makes it exhilarating is the beginning. Oh my god. Not only do you need to carefully slide spin toward these crumbling bridges, but also deal with a gauntlet of a 2D section afterwards. And let me tell you, this is the best 2D section I have the pleasure of experiencing. It has everything, from its fun traversal with the use of jump and spins, to Kapuna Wa being used to slow down enemies, delaying TNT explosions, and prevent elevational changes to the weighted platforms. All of this while being blazingly fast thanks to the ice physics. This section alone is some of the most intense and exhilarating moments I have ever experienced, and I never get tired of it.
Or is it?
But thankfully, everything else afterwards is also amazing. Tons of opportunities for tactical movements everywhere. I especially like some of the 3D areas having a lot of open range for you to experiment, while also finding quick and efficient ways to collect time boxes and not dip towards the freezing water.
Fuck you!
There are also these ball and chunk devices you occasionally see, which requires you to use Kapuna Wa to platform your way through. These parts actually take some bit of skill to manage, as the better you time Kapuna Wa's ability, the less time you'll be waiting for these platforms.
It's as if a bus leaves the end of each level every 21 frames.
Honestly, Kapuna Wa in general is utilized so well that I feel she's at her absolute best in my opinion. In terms of any issue that I have for Snow Way Out, structurally, I have no problems with it at all. Everything all works so well, just as God intended. However, when I say that it's the most adrenaline-fueled level, well, that could be a bit of a problem, as in my experience, speedrunning this level for long periods of time can be mentally exhausting, especially when going for those Purple Relics. I recommend taking some occasional breaks if you plan to run this level. But really, that's all the negatives I have to say. Everything about Snow Way Out is just beautiful, from its high-octane gameplay to its amazing level design that handles movement, ice physics, and Kapuna Wa very well. Some might find this daunting for its intensity alone, but I find it extremely commendable for how well the stage plays out. Give it a spin. So compared to other stages I cover, there isn't a whole lot to say about this one, but the reason why I rank it so goddamn high is one word: Akano. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, doing the triple Akano trick is the best thing to come out from this game. It's so much fun to pull off.
It's like a drug, I cannot quit.
And Give It a Spin showcases this the best.
I'm the best.
Same goes with just being the best Akano stage overall, which is appropriate since this is your first introduction to him, which is a theme that I'm starting to notice with Quantum Mask, each having their first level demonstrating their absolute best. Except for Lanny. Sorry Lanny. The reason why Give It a Spin is the best Akano stage is simply because of how often you'll be using him, and how open it is to experiment with his abilities, turning into a death tornado to soar through long gaps, hover over bottomless pits, or navigate through tight corridors. It's also the perfect stage to practice the triple Akano trick, as Akano appears right at the start, in addition to the area being pretty open. Okay, look, I'm not saying that the triple Akano trick is required to get the Purple Relic, but rather, learning how to do it is so worth it. Not only to shave off so much time, but to also have the most fun out of it. But this isn't to say that the on-foot sections are nothing to write home about. They're pretty great too, having some fast-paced moments that utilizes your quick movements. Although, the occasional waiting for some cycles like those lily pad mimics can slow down just a teeny tiny bit, but not too bad. But yeah, nothing more to say other than that. Akano's awesome, and so is this level. Cortex Castle. So you knew this one's coming, and I don't blame you. It's the closest we've gotten to a Kaizo level in a Crash Bandicoot game. Seriously, it's one of the hardest levels in the game, and even more so when going for the Purple Relic.
Take this shit.
The number of attempts I need to get a slightest hint of finishing the level is insane. I struggle to even get past Lanny's section. There's just so much to learn and improve upon. But that's what makes this level so amazing, because slowly but surely, you'll get a hang of going to each section, and eventually, you'll be reaching that goal in no time. The amount of trial error you'll need to get any form of relic is already commendable enough, but getting a Purple Relic out of it? Man, you just become a true god at this point. Cortex Castle's level design is essentially a masterpiece, with the biggest thing it has going for it is having all the Quantum Mask appear in the stage, similar to Food Run. But comparing the two, I think this level handled this gimmick even better.
Whatever, fuck this bullshit.
So going to each one of them, first off is Lanny Lully. His section consists of constantly shifting platform to walk over and laser barriers to pass through. I find it very hectic, fun, and better implemented than Food Run in my opinion. I even like this shortcut that I would soon discover. It's pretty cool. Second is Kupuna Wa. You mainly use her to slow down these spinny discs with spikes on them, all of which can be jumped over, if you're careful enough. The cycles for these spikes can be a bit inconsistent from my experience, but it can be circumvented easily if you can quickly adjust to it, which I clearly can. Next up is Akano. Unfortunately, there's not that many opportunities to pull the triple Akano trick, as the level design is a bit tight and awkward to do so. But I still like this section, as it has a nice rhythm to it when you get the groove. TNT, Kano, double jump, crash, repeat. TNT, Kano, double jump, crash, repeat. Groovy. Afterwards, we get to Ika Ika. His section is simply amazing. The first part involves his vertical level design, where you're supposed to ride through this moving platform. It's actually possible to just skip it entirely with some careful maneuvering. The second part involves the spinning saws, similar to Kupuna Wa's section. Normally, I would say to be careful when navigating this section with Ika Ika, but this is where Aku Aku comes into play. See, getting Triple Mask is necessary for this level, as it allows you to safely go through these spinning saws, while being able to ride them, like whee! Which, okay, this level is already hard enough as is, but man, having to collect these masks without taking a hit is a whole nother level of difficulty. But it's something I find better handled than Nitro Processing in my opinion, as less bullshit. Though, about these triple masks, remember how in Crash Landed there was this triple mask chaining? Well, this level has it as well. However, what makes this one better is that you're guaranteed to get that second invulnerability thanks to the cutscene breaking you out of your previous invisibility, along with having the second mask just right up ahead. This means that you will never be waiting for that vulnerability, which is great. So up to this point, it sounds like the Quantum Mask were a mix between being better or worse than Food Run, but holy shit, the last section really elevates them to have become the best section in the entire game, hell, maybe even the whole franchise. It's essentially a gauntlet that expects you to switch through all the Quantum Masks in rapid successions. I swear, it's what I mean by this playing like a Kaizo level. It's full of quick reaction while not shying away from allowing shortcuts, example like this, or this. So everything I just told you is how the level is laid out in the nutshell. It's so freaking difficult, yet insanely enjoyable at the same time. There's almost very little that interrupts your flow. The only issue that could be brought in contention is that long commitment that I mentioned in the beginning. Its crazy difficulty means that you need to practice a lot to reach that goal without fail. And for some, it's something that are not up for that challenge, and that's completely understandable. But otherwise, Cortex Castle is a masterpiece of a level, but somehow, there's just only one that could top this one, and I'm not sure you'll be ready for it. Hit the road, Jack. Here it is, the #1 best time trial stage in the entire game. Okay, this might be controversial, putting this level above the all-masterful Cortex Castle, but hear me out, okay? Let me explain why Hit the Road is extraordinary in the first place. First off, this has to be one of the greatest flowing stage in Crash 4. Yes, I am aware that I already gave that title to stages like Snowing Out and Cortex Castle. However, I also have issue with them either being exhausting or requiring too much commitment, but Hit the Road? Nope. The intensity is balanced just right that I could be grinding for this level for hours on end and never get tired. And all of that great flow is thanks to the beginning. You start out by doing some impressively fluid movement, like slide spinning over the gaps, hitting that buzzsaw enemy without getting hit yourself, and trying to break those crates like you're playing Super Mario Bros. I just love how much rhythm there is to it, and the rest throughout. But with great flow comes with great movement, as after the beginning, you could pretty much slide spin all day long, with very little interruption. And it's not like it's just a long straight line or something, like Insanity Peak. No, it's full of winding hallways and plenty of obstacles to avoid. The level is designed in such a way to never stop you, even with inconsistent cycles like the flame box or swinging maces. But after all that madness, we then go to the indoor portion of the level, where you'll be navigating through swinging ropes and moving platforms. For the swinging ropes, while they can also be inconsistent with their cycles, the fact that the distance between platforms is not far off means that it can easily be jumped over. But when we talk about the moving platforms, things get interesting. As while most have you waiting for them to ascend, the fact that there's enough interactivity outside to collect time boxes means that you'll never be waiting there like a sitting duck. Or like, sitting Bandicoot? In fact, for the last moving platform, you can do a combination of the ground slant trick and using Lanny Lolly to give you more waiting for that moving platform, and that shit's amazing. But speaking of Lanny, he appears in this level too, but how he's handled is pretty serviceable. Besides that amazing trick I mentioned, you're pretty much just making platforms appear or the flames disappear, and that's it. But after going downward from the moving conveyors and then across, you then reach to the Atlas Sphere. That's weird. Wasn't there supposed to be a truck? Oh my goodness! So I briefly touched upon the Atlas Sphere all the way back in Truck Stop. And while I say it was fine, there's actually one additional point, which, in hindsight, makes it really good. So while the Atlas Sphere has a constant max speed just like any other vehicle levels, there are some obstacles which can slow you down, like those puddles or the barbed wires. So there's a bit of skill in time trial to not only make sure you don't die from those TNT or nitros,
Are you stupid?
but also makes precise movements so you don't slow yourself down. which is crucial for getting that Purple Relic. Fuck, this level's amazing! Now that we discussed the level's content, let's bring back to the original question that I brought in the first place. Why is it better than Cortex Castle? Well, you see, while both are insanely fun in their own rights, Hit the Road is better for just how easy it is to hop in and play. In comparison, Cortex Castle takes a lot of grinding and practice to have the most fun out of it, even with having a masterful level design. This is mainly the reason why it's being outranked. But don't get me wrong, objectively, Cortex Castle is a better stage overall. But my heart still goes to Hit the Road for being more accessible. And not everyone is going to agree with this, I get it. But whatever it is, congratulations to Hit the Road for being the #1 best stage for Purple Relics, for your highly addicting mechanics, immaculate level design, and overall being a perfect stage to hop in and play. Hats off to you, sir. So that does it for the entire video. Jeez, I was not expecting for this to be a huge project, let alone being my first video which involves any form of discussion. But in any case, I had a lot of fun making it, experiencing the journey of going through all the shit this game has, while also looking at some of the truly amazing levels. And all of this within the realm of time trials, something that's not the main course of this game. However, I adore these type of content in games, and always like to discuss my experience with them. So there's no doubt that I will continue to make these videos, especially when planning to go over Platinum Relics and other Crash games. And that's all I have to really say. I hope you enjoyed this video, and look forward to what I have in store for the future.